All right, we are going to talk about the stomach now. So, the stomach, as we've already learned, has four regions: the cardia, fundus, body, and pylorus region. And then there are the greater and lesser curvatures. And the lesser curvature is going to be connected to the lesser omentum, greater curvature is connected to the greater omentum. So here's our graphical view of the stomach. And so we'll talk about this again in a moment. But like I mentioned earlier, the muscularis externa of the stomach actually has 3 layers, and the muscle fibers are going in different directions on all 3 of these layers. So we have our outermost longitudinal layer, then we've got our circular layer in the middle, and then an oblique layer deeper down, right next to that innermost layer of the lining. And so this is just because the stomach is helping with a lot of the mechanical digestion, so needing to churn and mix all of the food with the various gastric juices and stuff like that. So having these 3 different layers of muscle that have the fibers running in different directions allow us to be compressing the stomach in multiple different directions to really help with that mechanical digestion. All right, and so we've got our different regions here: cardia, fundus, body, and pylorus. And then we have our sphincters here on either end, controlling entrance or exit from the stomach. So the stomach has that mucosa layer. This is going to help form the rugae, those folds inside of the stomach. It is made out of simple columnar epithelia cells, which have gastric pits and gastric glands with that. And then we've got that submucosa layer, and then our 3 layers of muscularis externa, and then the serosa layer on the outermost region, all the way out here. So here's a different view of that stomach histology, showing some of these different glands and pits. So we've got our surface epithelial cells out here, and you can see that we've got all of these glands embedded deep down, and those are within these gastric pits that you can see right here. So these little openings in that layer, and so the gastric pits are going to kind of give it the appearance of a very well used pincushion, and these are the entry point to very, very deep exocrine tubes called the gastric glands, and that's what we're seeing further down here. So the gastric pits are kind of like a cave entrance to the gastric glands themselves. So the gastric pits are mostly made out of mucus cells. The glands have a different type of cell, and these glands can vary depending on where they're found in the stomach. So glands in the cardia and pylorus region are mostly the mucus secreting cells, but then there are going to also be some hormones that get produced in those regions and stuff. But within the fundus and body of the stomach, there are going to be much larger glands, which are producing a lot more gastric secretion, because we're doing a little bit more chemical digestion in that region of the stomach. And so those can be made up of parietal cells, chief cells, mucous neck cells, and some enteroendocrine cells to produce a bunch of different substances. So the parietal cells can end up producing a couple different things. So these are going to be pretty big cells, and they're going to make the hydrochloric acid as well as intrinsic factor. So that hydrochloric acid is very, very acidic, and it is necessary to activate the enzyme pepsin, which helps digest proteins. The acidity will also kill off a lot of bacteria, among other microorganisms. And the acid will additionally help denature some of those proteins, making it easier for the enzyme to get in and actually start breaking it apart more. Intrinsic factor is another protein which is really important for the absorption of the vitamin B12 in the small intestine. So we're producing it here, and then it'll get sent with the rest of the chyme into the small intestine. Now, chief cells, these are going to secrete pepsinogen. This is a inactive form of the pepsin enzyme, and so the hydrochloric acid is actually going to convert the pepsinogen to pepsin for that protein digestion. So if you haven't figured it out already, a lot of protein digestion is happening in the stomach in a variety of ways. Our mucous neck cells are going to secrete a very thin acidic mucus. This is very different than the mucus secreted by the goblet cells higher up in the epithelial layer, and we're actually not sure what the function of this particular type of mucus is at this point in time. And then our enteroendocrine cells are going to make hormones, because they are part of the hormone system, that endocrine system. This can include a variety of things like gastrin, which is released mostly by something called a G cell. Things are not named very originally all the time, but we also need it to be very, very obvious. And so different hormones and stuff like that are going to help, but that gastrin is really important for secretion of different enzymes and the entire digestive process overall. So that gastric mucosa is going to be really, really important. All of these different types of cells are going to be really important for various aspects of digestion within the stomach. And so they all need to be in there in some capacity. But again, a couple of these are only going to be found in certain regions of the stomach and not all over the place. So again, the stomach is going to do a lot of that mechanical digestion, as well as moving things into the small intestine. Our chemical digestion is pretty much entirely proteins in the stomach, where those are being controlled by nerves and hormones, and it can also absorb, again, certain fat-soluble things like alcohol and aspirin. We are going to go ahead and let the small and large intestines have their own video, so I'm going to wrap this one up here.